When you think of narcissism, what comes to mind? Do you picture someone vain, obsessed with their own reflection, or perhaps a charming individual who somehow makes everything revolve around them? While those traits are part of the picture, narcissism is far more complex and dangerous than many realize, especially when it manifests in the form of narcissistic abuse. The deeper you get into an abusive relationship with a narcissist, the more you'll begin to see the long-lasting damage it can cause to your self-esteem, mental health, and overall well-being. But how do you know when you are in the most dangerous phase of narcissistic abuse? Stick with me, and by the end of this article, you'll have the clarity you need to identify this perilous stage in your own life, and more importantly, learn how to escape it. Narcissistic abuse often starts off in a subtle manner, almost unnoticed. At first, it may feel like a whirlwind of confusion, where your own sense of reality is constantly questioned. You might begin to doubt your worth, or lose touch with who you truly are. In these situations, you may feel manipulated, or as though you're walking on eggshells, uncertain of how to act around someone who seems to flip between being loving and adoring to cold, cruel, or distant. This emotional roller coaster can take a significant toll on your mental well-being. The most dangerous phase of narcissistic abuse is often the one when you start to realize that the situation is not just toxic, but deeply destructive. Recognizing that things are spiraling out of control can be difficult, especially when the manipulation is so subtle. The abuse becomes a psychological game, where the lines between love and cruelty blur, making it challenging to trust your own instincts. This phase can feel like an emotional maze, where clarity is lost and self-doubt takes over. What makes this phase particularly hazardous is the fact that it can be difficult to pinpoint. The gradual erosion of your sense of self often goes unnoticed, and by the time you realize something is wrong, the damage has already begun. The emotional confusion, the sense of never knowing where you stand, can leave you feeling isolated and alone. It can also make it harder to find the courage to break free from the cycle of abuse. To truly understand the impact of narcissistic abuse, it's important to recognize the signs early on. The manipulation may be subtle at first, but over time it becomes more pronounced. Emotional gaslighting, where you're made to question your own memories and perceptions, is a common tactic. This constant questioning erodes your self-esteem and creates a sense of helplessness, making it even more difficult to escape the toxic dynamic. This phase of realization is often when people feel most trapped. You may start to recognize the patterns, but by then, the narcissist has often already entrenched themselves deeply into your life. The emotional and psychological toll of this abuse can be profound, leading to feelings of despair and a loss of identity. It's important to understand that this phase is not an end, but rather a turning point, one where you can take steps toward healing and reclaiming your sense of self. If you're finding value in this discussion, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Narcissistic abuse is something that many people are unaware of, and spreading awareness is one of the first steps in helping others recognize it before it becomes too late. The more we talk about it, the more we can empower individuals to break free from toxic relationships and find healing. Let's keep the conversation going. Now let's get into the meat of it. Narcissistic abuse doesn't always look the same from the outside. Sometimes, the narcissist is charming, persuasive, and even offers false promises of love and affection. But behind that facade is a deeply manipulative individual who is working to control you, undermine your sense of self, and ensure that you remain under their thumb. It can be hard to detect at first, because narcissists can be exceptionally skilled at presenting themselves as the perfect partner, friend, or family member. The most dangerous phase, however, typically begins when the narcissist has secured their hold over you. By this point, you've likely been through several cycles of idealization and devaluation. At first, they may have seemed like the perfect match, adoring, attentive, and almost too good to be true. But once they've established their control, things start to shift. The narcissist begins to push your boundaries, make you question your reality, and gaslight you into doubting everything you once believed about yourself. Your self-esteem begins to erode, and what was once a healthy, balanced relationship turns into a warped game of manipulation, with the narcissist at the helm. In this phase, the narcissist might start to discard you. It might happen slowly at first, with them becoming more distant and disengaged. They might stop complimenting you, offering affection, or even acknowledging your feelings. But the real danger lies in how they react when you try to assert your needs or express your concerns. Rather than addressing your emotions, they'll often turn the blame on you. They'll twist your words, make you feel like you're being irrational, and try to convince you that you are the problem. You may find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, always trying to keep the peace and prevent an outburst. In the most dangerous phase of narcissistic abuse, the narcissist is slowly but surely breaking you down. They may gaslight you into believing you are too sensitive, too emotional, or that you're overreacting. They might even turn the tables and make you feel guilty for speaking up, causing you to second-guess yourself and withdraw further. The psychological manipulation can be devastating. As the narcissist's tactics become more refined, you may find yourself constantly apologizing, even when you haven't done anything wrong. This is the hallmark of the narcissistic abuse cycle, an endless loop of self-doubt, guilt, and confusion. You become hyper-aware of their needs, moods, and demands, while slowly losing touch with your own desires and sense of self-worth. It's at this point that you might begin to feel trapped. The narcissist may have already isolated you from friends, family, or anyone who could potentially offer support. You may feel like there's nowhere to turn. You may even wonder if you're imagining things, or if you truly are the problem. But let me assure you, this is exactly what the narcissist wants. They need you to believe that you are the issue, that everything wrong in the relationship is your fault, and that they are the innocent victim. This is the moment when the abuse becomes especially dangerous. It's the point where you might start to lose all sense of self, where you start to question your worth, your identity, and your very reality. This is when the narcissist has successfully exerted control over your emotions, your thoughts, and even your perception of the world. They've won. At least, that's what they want you to believe. But here's the crucial thing. Recognizing this phase is the first step toward escaping it. The moment you acknowledge that you're in the most dangerous phase of narcissistic abuse is the moment you regain your power. The narcissist relies on your confusion, fear, and self-doubt to keep you in their grasp. But by recognizing what's happening, you can start to break free. So, how do you start to heal? First, acknowledge that you are not crazy. The manipulation you're experiencing is real, and it's designed to make you feel small, insignificant, and dependent on the narcissist. Recognize the tactics they are using to control you: gaslighting, love bombing, devaluation, and discard. It's important to understand that this pattern is not your fault, and you are not to blame for the narcissist's behavior. Second, seek support. It may be difficult, especially if the narcissist has isolated you from loved ones, but it's essential to reach out to someone you trust. Whether it's a friend, a therapist, or a support group, connecting with others who understand narcissistic abuse can help you rebuild your confidence and clarity. Finally, take steps to distance yourself from the narcissist. This can be incredibly challenging, especially if you've been enmeshed in their manipulation for a long time, but it's crucial for your healing. Set boundaries, seek professional help if needed, and remember that you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness, none of which come from a narcissist. Thank you for taking the time to learn about narcissistic abuse and its most dangerous phase. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can spread awareness and help others break free from the cycle of abuse. You are not alone. There is a way out, and with the right support, you can heal and reclaim your life.